The West Side Story got put together for kind of this area and just the West Side. One Christmas dinner that we all got together and started looking at this area and said, hey, there's nothing over here. There's a million people always walking around all these retail shops. Why don't we, roll the dice and throw something in there and see if it works? Yeah, growing up as far as just interest and getting involved in all this stuff, it was always really fun. My grandma, came from an interesting background. So when I would go over there, I don't even remember my grandma's house. I just remember my grandma's basement. And I would go down and it would be like a treasure hunt. You would find books with signings, or you would find treasure chests, or half the stuff in here was kind of hers. And so it was that part adventure that kind of starts you on the roller coaster of like, what is this, and is it valuable, and what's the story behind it, and all these different kind of things. So that's kind of what got the initiation of the interest and beginning trying to find out about old and different fun things. So my father has a business, and I worked for him for a long time and learned a lot of ropes as far as just logistics and finances and keeping score as far as what a business needs to do to stay up to date. But it's challenging. There's always new things that you don't necessarily know, and it's a learning curve. But it's been a really good deal so far, and it's so fun networking and meeting people kind of around the area. And it's been a good experience. I mean, I've been more into decorating all this stuff than it is almost buying it, because you get to set it up each kind of way you want. I'm so OCD as far as like having things exactly in order. It's nice to have an antique store. That was one of our big things kind of coming into this, is we didn't want to be another random antique store that smelled like antiques and that you couldn't really roam around. It was box by box. We wanted it to be an open area that had different collective things that hit every kind of demographic from young to old. You keep your favorite things as you buy stuff. If you're going to an auction, there's probably 5 or 6 things within the last year that I just will buy at an auction I don't want to sell just because it's so cool. But eventually, as the years go, like that helmet. I had that helmet in my loft for a couple different years, and you grow an attachment with it. But as time goes, you can start to part with it a little bit. It's always really interesting, kind of getting into the game, because any industry that you start to get into, it's a whole new education, and especially in antiques, because you might have a niche in some area. But you start to learn so much more. You might know art, you might know wood, you might know anything. It's just such a large world. So any advice that you can get from somebody that's been in the field for a while is huge, just like in any industry. So when I first started going there, I would go to guys that had been in the game for a while and kind of ask them how they got started and what did well for them and what was their industry and what niche they kind of went towards. So it was interesting hearing them, like if you go to other antique stores, I always feel like there's a lot of glass and there's a lot of pottery and there's a lot of things that don't really sell. And in our Generation Y, we're not looking for glass and pottery and old art. So to just get educated as far as when you're starting to go to these things and ask people. And it's so random as far as what kind of comes about and what's for sale. It's just it's a lottery pick as far as trying to figure out what you're going to buy and then how it fits in here. And we started as an antique store and new things, but I brought so much more clothing and different jewelry and consigners in, because that's our generation and that's a quick buy. After getting a crepe or something to eat across the street, you're not going to go maybe buy a new dining room table. You might go buy a t-shirt though. So people's interests change and you change, and you don't know exactly what route it's going to necessarily take. But for myself, like being able to network and I've looked at some other stores I'm hoping to open up soon, and kind of with the same idea and concept of what I've done here. And the future is a wild card. You never know exactly, but it's been good feedback and it's been fun so far. So I'm ready to see what happens.
Awesome. I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah.